So welcome to Avalon by Nature and a live chat today with my guest from Sydney. And firstly, acknowledging the land that I'm working on, which is the land traditionally owned by, good morning, Linda, traditionally owned by the Awabakal people. I'm on Awabakal, Lake Macquarie, which is in the area between the Central Coast and Newcastle. And this land has been continuously occupied by the original inhabitants for tens of thousands of years. And they're working hard to continue and revive their traditions to pass on to their future generations. And so, yeah, I'm working up on the top of Moneybung Hill, and this area has been lived on traditionally for years and years. Awesome. So welcome. I'm going to bring Kelly on now and introduce you to her properly, and then we can get started. Okay. Welcome, Kelly.
Hi, thank you. Lovely to be here, Jo.
Oh, you're most welcome. What a shaky start.
It was. And I just wanted to also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that I live on. I am in Clovelly in the eastern suburbs in Sydney.
Beautiful. Oh, welcome. That's a lovely area of Sydney, isn't it? Are you near the beach?
Yeah, I'm like about a 2-minute walk to the beach. So it's great. Love the water. Yeah, I find it great. Very healing and lovely to be around.
Absolutely. Clearing and cleaning as well, I suppose. Yeah.
Yes.
So Kelly will be sharing with us her journey to becoming an animal communicator and healer, and we'll take questions relating to what an animal communicator and healer does, benefits to animals and owners, what to look for in a professional animal communicator. I think that's a really good question, actually. She might share some stories of sessions that she's completed for clients and how she's helped them, and what issues that you can actually help animals and their owners with. And I've read some of the stories on your website, so I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. And I guess too, around and on top and underneath of that, how your own spiritual and healing journey came along with that, I guess, and how to support yourself on a healing journey. So yeah, cool. We've got some beautiful comments already, so I'll just acknowledge the people who've come in already. So Sherry and Linda, welcome. Thanks, Jackie. Jackie has an amazing comment already. She says, oh, actually, I'll share it so that you can see it as well. There we go. Can't recommend Kelly.
Jackie.
I know, right? Rescued a sweet girl that was burnt in the December 2019 fires. Wow. And you've communicated with Wattle, given her healings and a reading, and you're awesome.
That's so beautiful.
Nice is that? Thanks, Jackie.
I know, that warms my heart. It's so beautiful. Thank you, Jackie. I love my beautiful clients like Jackie. Wonderful. And her beautiful dog Wattle, yeah, amazing.
What a great name for this time of year. Wattle's out everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And Sherry and another Kelly as well, Kelly Nugent. So welcome.
Hi, Kelly.
Where would you like to start, Kelly?
I don't know. Did you want to run in the order of how you kind of just said the questions?
Why not? Why not?
Is that a good way to start? Because they're all great questions. Yeah.
And so what is an animal communicator? So what is an animal communicator and healer? I guess that's the first question.
Okay. So an animal communicator and healer is, so what I do is I talk to animals using energy, and we can liken that to, say if you're walking down the street and you may walk past somebody that you don't know, and you may feel even how they're feeling, if they're feeling angry. So I kind of describe it like that, like I'm feeling energy, and I interpret that, and then I'm able to give that information to the owner about their animal so that they can understand them better. I guess I always say it's like any type of relationship. The better the communication, the better the relationship.
For sure.
Yeah. And then with the healing side of it, I mean, so I love the work that I do because that's a very big component of it. I do Reiki energy healing, and I also do crystal healing, and I use color. I use a combination of modalities, I guess, or within the healings that I do. And that's really important part of my work as well, and it changes people's lives, which is what I love. I'm so passionate about talking about it.
So why does someone ring you up and say, can you help me with my dog or my pet, my furry friend? What do you call them? I don't like calling animals pets.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I quite often, I may refer to them in that sense, more to promote so people know what I do, but I generally don't. I generally always say animal too in most of my work. Yeah, because I have such a respect for animals. Not that it's not respecting them, calling them a pet, but they're so amazing and they're so that, you know, I just like to honor them. So yeah, I call them animals, and I work with all animals. What was your question? Sorry, I forgot. I'm getting so excited about everything that we're talking about.
No, so for example, you know, someone rings you up. What would be the reason that they're ringing you up to come and help them with their animal? Yeah,
so there's so many. I would say that none of my not one session is the same, and because obviously every animal has its own personality, and every person has their own set of the issue that they're going through. There may be similarities, of course. So some issues could be like if their animal's not sleeping at night, particularly rescue animals. You know, if there's a change in relationship, like a moving home. Sometimes it's just, or if you've taken in that animal, it may not be a rescue, but it may be an animal that is a little bit older, like maybe it couldn't stay where it was living for some certain reason. And so that can be quite an adjustment for animals as well. So then I will, you know, I always work with the client as in their animal and the person, and getting their person's perspective and then the animals, and then we talk about how we can help resolve. So it change that what I really love is that, like, it changes people's lives, just working with them and being able to offer support. Sometimes they don't know where else to turn. They maybe have tried other options, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I found you. And I always believe that the universe brings me the clients that need me, because I'll be like, I just found you. Or, you know, a lot of my work is by word of mouth as well, which I really appreciate. And that's generally, you know, when they're sort of like, I don't know what else to do, or I'm really having this really tough situation. And it can be really tough for these people when they don't have an answer. They don't know what to do. So I help them.
So, for example, oh gosh, who? That was Jackie. That's right. I was just rolling down to look at the comments. So Jackie talked about her dog. Was it Wattle?
Yes,
and
Wattle.
She rescued Wattle. So, seeing as Jackie's already proffered Wattle as a wonderful example of the work that you've done, perhaps you could.
Yeah, and I love talking. And Jackie's very good, and she always, you know, because that's one thing I always do have permission from any client. If I'm to mentioning names, I do always have their permission. Otherwise, I wouldn't do that. And Jackie's great. She always has allowed me to do that.
Fantastic.
Can
you tell us a bit about Wattle? Sure.
So Wattle was involved in the Bargo bushfires, and she had to have surgery on her paw. And so Jackie approached me after she had had the surgery. It was very major surgery, and she was in a lot of pain, and she had to, like, she couldn't move around. And I'm going back and remembering, because I've worked with her for a while, I think it was like a couple of months even. Jackie would probably confirm that. But so I did healings and I did animal communication. I also helped her not only with that, but like her emotional well-being. So that's something that we also, as an animal communicator, can work with animals, giving the animal support so their confidence can grow and their trust can grow with the family, because she had come from a different, you know, home. So that was a big adjustment for her, and to be able to give not only her tips and techniques, but the family. And that's how I work. So everyone has a bit of work to do. Like any relationship, when we're working in any relationship, and then if they embrace that, then and so Wattle was amazing to work with, and I'm so proud of her, and she's just a beautiful girl, and she's doing a lot better.
Do you find do you find that the animals are surprised that you can hear or understand them, or then kind of warm to it, I suppose? I don't know. I don't really know what to ask.
It's so interesting. I mean, Because I sort of approach them energetically, and I'm very
Mm.
careful and I guess this sort of kind of ties into what to look for in a professional animal communicator, because
Yeah.
I know for me it's very important to manage my energy very well, and how my approach is with an animal. So if they have not spoken to anyone before, and some have and some haven't, because I also have clients that are animal communicators themselves, but they come to me so that I can help them, because when you have that emotional attachment, sometimes it's hard. So I do have clients that actually do speak to their animals, but they still come to me as well. So those animals, yes, they're more aware of it. And but even when animals aren't, they're excited usually, right? That's like, oh my gosh, someone's actually
You
going
can
to
hear
like
me.
talk to me. Like, okay, because I'm always talking to, because animals are often always like, because like with children, so we all can actually, we all have the ability,
Yeah.
but we do lose a lot of that ability as we grow up, and then relearning it, you know. So children can connect with animals, and it would be like, even say, you know, because it's energy, like a mum does with her new baby, she can tell about the new cry, like about the cries, and distinguish what one is. So it's kind of, I kind of liken it to that. When I'm communicating with an animal energetically, I am just interpreting that information. And yes, many of them, it can change a relationship with their owner just by like, wow, she's actually loves me that much, or my owner loves me that much, that she's got someone to talk to me. And I get
Yeah.
to tell them how I feel, because, or why I'm doing something, because they may have thought it was a different reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jackie's saying that you won't believe it, but she's here with me and her ears are twitching every time you talk. I'm sure she remembers your voice.
I was about to say, like, I'm sure. And once I have a connection, because I put up a little video one of my clients had sent me. She'd said to her dog, and I had worked with him, and not in person either, like, because I don't have to work in person. And a lot of my work isn't, which is great at the moment because I'm still able to work. And she said to him, Kelly, and he sat up and he like looked and he knew. And then, because that was a post, all these other people like, yeah, my cat, and even another client has said that every time she'll be like, I'm going to, you know, we're going to get Kelly to talk to you, and she'll twitch her ears. They know. So like, how amazing, like, yeah, right.
Wow.
They know. It's like they have a bond with me because of the work that I've done with them. Yeah.
They've
So
turned
building
up
that
for the appointment
relationship.
too.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love it.
Um, so Sherry has said she's asked a particular question. So I'll pop it up on the screen so you can see it as well. Can you help with behavior? My dog is getting older and he's stalking animals, I think is what Sherry means. They're stalking animals now, birds, bats, cats, and killing them. I think he's playing.
Yeah, and so that's definitely something that I definitely help with behavior. And we would look at, you know, talking to him and explaining and finding out why, because that's the whole thing of really animal communication. It's like, well, when I'm talking to animals, it's like I'll have a bit of a conversation and then ask him. So that is something that I can, you know, talk to him about. And it may, I mean, he's an older dog. Sometimes with younger dogs, it can be more that they may need more training as well, like dog training, which I can help with basic dog training. But yeah, it's just maybe explaining to him, right? Yeah, from my perspective, that's not okay, and asking why. Yeah.
We've got a couple of questions actually. So another viewer, Corey, has said, can you stop my dog jumping the fence? And isn't that such a common issue? Everyone, you know, Facebook group pages are full of like, my dog's gotten out, or somebody's dog's on the loose, so I can't keep them inside.
Yeah, it is quite a common problem. And so how I would work with and talk to them is I would ask them why they're doing it, but what I would also suggest. So some behavioral problems, I would definitely be able to work just me on their own, but there would be some where I would probably recommend, and depending on the age of the animal, like talking with a dog trainer and working in conjunction with one, because it's the same as like, I don't replace a vet either, but I work in conjunction with them. Yeah, so I'm like that gap, like an animal communicator fits in that gap where no one is, and offers that support. So sometimes definitely can work with that, but it may require more than just an animal communicator if it's, jumping a fence. But we could definitely ask, why are you doing it? And then right? Okay, well, they're doing it for this reason. So then it gives you insight that you wouldn't normally have.
No, because you're working blindly, really. You're without knowing exactly what they're thinking and feeling. And, if a dog's jumping a fence, perhaps there's something going on when you're not there to see, and without having cameras to be able to see. Like you don't know who's poking their head over the fence. You don't know what's coming into the yard that's making them want to jump out, or who's outside, or any of those things. And without, so that would be a great opportunity to ask those things too. I mean, we ask our dogs to be guard dogs, but we don't have a form for them to fill out what's been going on while we're away.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So when I go in and I can ask those things, and I get how they're feeling, you just don't know. It could be that they're scared, or, there's someone coming in, or there's so many reasons that there could be.
Yeah. So Sherry, who was asking about her dog who was getting older, says thank you. And her question also, follow-on question is, so do the healing over the net or just sending healing across the universe? So that's a great follow-on question once you've done some work.
The healing that I do? Yeah. So what I do is normally, like in a telephone session or like a bigger email session, I will always do a healing as well. Like there will be a healing across with the communication, like with the talking to the animal. But I also do separate healings, just a healing. So say, depending on what the situation is, and that is done by, I do it absently. So all my work is done using a photo if I'm not in person, and that's how I connect with the animal. And I do home visits, as I said, but obviously, I have clients worldwide, so that enables me to be able to work with them. And I'm using a photo, I will connect, and for that length of time that the healing session is for, and I will type up like a little report of what comes through, if there's things that they need to do, or any recommendations maybe that I have that might help, and then I will email that through. And I mean, I had a couple of, because I do emergency sessions as well for people, and I had a couple of weeks ago, and they were amazing. Like they noticed the difference within an hour immediately. Like I had a wonderful case at the beginning of the year, even, where I helped an animal, a dog, and she'd had puppies, and it wasn't planned, so that's very important to note. And she wasn't feeding her puppies, and so she reached out to me very distressed because the vet could not do anything else. She couldn't have a lot of pain relief because of feeding the puppies, but she wasn't feeding them. She was a little aggressive. And so working with me through animal communication, so me talking to her and doing healing, she, within like an hour, she was bonding, because I explained to her, that she was a mom, and, and she just embraced that. And then she fed her puppies and was bonding with them. So that's like, oh my gosh, that, like cases like that, all of them. Yeah, it's like amazing. And just like the emergency ones I did the other week, like, it was a very serious case. And the dog was then calm and not pacing up and down. And it's distressing for the owner. So I love that it helps both. So that's sort of how a healing session will work. So I would reach out and contact me. And then, obviously there's the emergency, and then there's the standard ones, which, I take a bit longer to do. Yeah.
It's interesting actually when you were talking about the mum pup, the mum dog, who wasn't feeding her babies, and you just think, it just popped into my mind. Well, they're living in isolation as well. They've not got their community of other mum pups there, mum dogs is there as well, showing them what they're supposed to be doing. Like us. Right. We're living in these kind of nuclear families, which we don't necessarily have our mums and aunties and grandmas around us showing us what we're meant to be doing with the babies, because it isn't innate in everybody.
No, and it's really hard, right? So, and it's true, like, so having that support is like amazing, right? What you can actually, I mean, I love what I do, and I am really passionate about it, but But every session I do is amazing, and I love every animal that I work with.
Yeah.
I always think we're so blessed, because they're all so beautiful in their own unique way.
Yeah. Wow. So how did you kind of realize that you could communicate with animals?
Yeah, and this is a very long story, so I'll do the shorter version because I do love
ask now.
As I say, and I do love to talk, so remind me if
this is
talking too much. Yeah. So I actually had used an animal communicator myself for one of my animals. So there's that is one very big reason, and I loved how amazing it was that I could get information to help my animal, and also give me comfort, because I talk to passed over animals. So those sessions, they're amazing, right? The same with animals in transition. Like, they're some of my most favorite sessions, and there are no words to describe how much I know what comfort I give people. So, and the animals, right? Yeah, I guess and this kind of ties in, I guess, with my healing and spiritual journey, because that's what I call it and that's really what led me to become an animal communicator. I've always been like highly sensitive to energy and things like that, but I didn't fully understand that. So once I started my spiritual journey, I did many different, I guess, self-development and a lot of different healing courses, and just knowing that I love animals, I guess, and have that very close connection with them, I was like, wow, if I could become an animal communicator myself, like, how amazing is that? So that's how I kind of embraced, and I was always looking for, because I had a completely different job before, although in my personal life I've always been very much a natural counselor to people and animals, really. So I was kind of doing it anyway, but not professionally, obviously, and to this depth and level. But to be able to live my life's purpose, because that's what I say, like, I'm here to do this, and that's what I'm now living. So that's kind of a shortened version of why I became an animal communicator and healer. And it's just really important for me to be able to, I guess, add something to the world, like do something really important while I'm here on Earth.
Oh, beautiful. Sherry says, you're making me teary about the passing over animals. And, I've sat in the vets as well with a couple of our animals who, and I've had to make the decision and then walk them through it. And I've said to a couple of my animals that we've had to put to sleep, I'll walk you to the gate, and then I've got guys on the other side. I know our mates on the other side, they're going to come and get you at the gate, and just sorry, it's a really emotional thing, isn't it? And it's
it definitely is. And I feel like I'm although, like, and I am really an emotional person as well, so like very empathetic, so, but I think that's what makes me great at what I do, because I am that, although I am professionally trained. So, I hold the space for the client, but that doesn't mean I'm not human and I haven't cried a little bit, or after I've worked with a client that's deciding whether, what they're going to do with their animal. So I say, like, animal transitioning, so it's kind of before, but then they'll message me and say, oh, we did decide the decision, and I will have a little cry myself, because you become attached to them, and we're still human. Like, I know they live on. Yes, we do live on. I know that. I have, from my experience, I have evidence of that, in the sessions that I do, and but it's still that physical, body, or that. So it's definitely,
it's that warmth on the bed next to you that's not there anymore.
right. So doing those sessions is amazing, and passed over animals, like, the healing that helps with client. It's difficult, right? And that's what to be able to, because I have tears there too, and I'm just like, no, it's because I cry all the time. I'm very much but it's great because we're releasing it. It's great to get it out. So to be able to hold space for my clients that have had an animal pass over, sometimes they're so misunderstood. This is what I find a lot with a lot of them. they're very misunderstood by the other people around them. Oh, this does want to make me cry because I feel misunderstood. I have felt misunderstood previously as a child and that in my life. So that's why I'm like, I've been on the other side of that. So I will never do that to my clients. Like, I hold that space for them. And, you know, every grieving process, everyone's journey is different and there's no time frame. So, to be able to do those sessions, like I've had quite a few this week. Yeah, they're deep and meaningful, but that's why I do what I do. That's one of the reasons why I really do what I do, to be able to do that.
Yeah. So we've got another friend of yours, Judy Blanche. Yes. So she says you helped her with her cockatiel's problems.
I did.
Tell us about the cockatiel.
So he actually was like, there's one of my first clients too with this. He was like distressed and emotional, and also he was really sick, and then he also did end up passing over as well. So I helped in many ways with the cockatiel. So I've definitely had other clients as birds as well. So I've worked with all kinds of animals, like a donkey, horses, cats, dogs. I can work with fish. I don't think I've had a client with fish, but So thank you, Judy, for reminding me of that wonderful time. And see, it's wonderful that my clients love, what I'm
just stoked that they're here and wanting to share, the work that you've done with their animals. I mean, that just really shows the depth of the change and the impact that you have.
It does, because I was going to say, even with Kelly, because she came on, I worked with her dog Diesel, and I know she always gives me permission to discuss him as well.
Mentioned that earlier. Yes.
So he had a major farm accident, and I did healing with him, and his fur even. It's like I've held in my emotions a bit now. It's like, oh my gosh, because it's like all of them, they're all so amazing. So his confidence grew. So it's kind of similar to where Waddle, although like his injury was already healed in a sense, but obviously, because it had been a while, but there was still trauma and pain behind that. And so he mixed with the family more then. He just became, he became more part of the family by doing that. By doing the healing session. So they're just some of my most amazing work. Love Waddle and Diesel. Thank you, Kelly. So it's lovely. And I thank them for supporting me as well, right?
While you were talking about that, I was sort of thinking, gosh, if an animal is hurt in a work accident, because I guess if they're working on a farm, it's a work accident, isn't it? And what you're saying, he was a bit I was wondering, was he hesitant about being around that machinery or being around, that sort of a situation again? And I was thinking, gosh, it's probably just like having a car accident, being scared about getting back in the car again.
Right.
And that's something that that empathy there just had not thought about at all. Like, wow.
We don't. To put your it's really like putting yourself in their shoes, and as owners, it's not that we don't, but we also have our own grief and right. So then it's like we have our own, then they have theirs, and then sometimes we don't know what to do. So working through our own is great. And I mean personally myself, I'm very into self-development and healing, and I continually do that work, which is what I think makes a great animal communicator. Going back to that, like what to look for is, for me, it's someone that holds their energy, someone that continually works on themselves, because that way, you're able to kind of separate your own stuff, because that's your stuff. And it's like even teaching with an owner and their animal, it's like, yes, okay, so let's all deal with each other's, your stuff and their stuff, because otherwise it just becomes too much, right? And that's why I go in and support them. But we don't always realize that it can have such an impact on animals when something happens to them. And then why are they doing that? Oh, that's why. But we may not even relate it to that all the time.
Or
and someone to understand their point of view, right? That's like huge. It's like, oh my gosh, someone heard me. I've been validated. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Sherry says the same thing, you know, animals are just like humans in that emotions and the empathy and I guess response to trauma and things like that too.
Yeah, and
Then,
that's where, yeah, it's
sorry,
true.
that's her next comment.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Sherry on her phone.
Thank you, Sherry. I love that though. Like, yeah, it's great that people can understand that, because animals are amazing. Like, what would we be in a world without them? Oh, thank you, Kelly. I llove that. So blessed with amazing clients. Support.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the bond that I build, which is amazing too. It's with their animals and with the owners. That's like amazing. I love that. Yeah.
Do you teach? Are you able to teach owners then how to hear their animals?
So I don't actually teach myself currently. But what I can do in as a session is, depending on what's going on, I will, like when I say I give them tools and techniques, there will be certain things that I teach them that can help them in their day-to-day life. Because like some of the problems, I mean, even with Diesel and Waddle, and even with like Judy's cockatiel, it like how that the impact that it's had on people is like that they've maybe lived with that for a long time. And so to be able to go in and help with the problems. So I will teach them, depending, like say if someone's moving, you know, and so I'm letting the animal know they're going to be moving. I might give the client some ideas on how they can, because we all innately, even every owner does communicate with their animal.
Yes.
Even without me, just like a mother does with her newborn baby, but not to that depth and level where I kind of go in and really investigate what's going on. And I'm not emotionally attached. Not that I do have an attachment to the animals in a sense, or a bond, not really an attachment, but a bond with them, but I'm able to separate myself. So that's where I can teach the owners, there are certain things that I will give them in, depending what we've done, where they will be able to work with their animal on a day-to-day basis, communicating with them, so that they can work through what they've got to work through. Because if we don't change the behavior, we don't change what we're doing, then what's happening is not going to change. So it's really important. So I do teach them to a level of what they need to, or confirm what they already maybe say, like, I really do understand. They do really understand that. I tell them that. It was like when they say my name, right? The animals know. So
Actually, we give our dogs nickname. I'm not the nickname king. It's my husband who's the nickname king. And, you know, they answer more to those nicknames than they do to their proper names.
I love that. It's so cute.
And our nicknames morph over time. So what they might have started with isn't what they ended up with, but they answer to all of them.
Yeah, well, I think it's cute, right? Yeah. And I'm the same with my animals. I'll have, a bit of a nickname, or you have certain things like, I know my cat, he's quite cheeky as well. So, it's like, and some of the animals I work with are too. Some of them, they all have their own unique personalities, just like people do.
Absolutely. And I think they train us too. They train us to accommodate their quirkiness, and to kind of give them feedback on their quirkiness. My son moved home last year and brought his Shar-Pei with him, and so she moved immediately into the house with our mutt, Caesar, and who does not live up to his name, Caesar. He's not a Caesar type dog, but but his personality has really developed a lot since Rose arrived, and they've really kind of become a little pack together and rule the front yard and the inside house and the back as well.
See, and that's the thing, right? They can. And well, animals are very precious, really, and the clients that I work with, really, that's how they see their animals. Like, they are their children, right? It's like, they're my children, and that's why they want a better life for them, and them, because it's like, well, they're like my children. I mean, that's how I basically see it. Every animal that comes to me is like the owner's child in that sense. Yeah. So I have
Yeah.
such a deep bond. Yeah.
Sherry was adding to the comment about nicknames. She says her dog's name is Duke, but we call him Booby.
That's cute.
So that's it. It's nicknames are amazing. So I want to come back to because I want to come back to the actual concept of an animal communicator, because you've made quite a distinction already. You said that you could communicate with your animals, you had a connection with them, and you could pick up what they're feeling or saying or communicating to you. But I could hear that you were saying there's because you weren't doing it professionally, or you trained to be a communicator. So there's obviously some work to do between having an empathetic connection with your personal animals and making that bridge to doing it for people who you don't know. So can you talk a little bit more about what that is?
Yeah, well, I would look at it that obviously as a professional and understanding it better as well, because we do it, but we may not have always fully realized we did it. And some of that wasn't until I really studied and was like, oh my gosh, I was nowhere near the professional level, but was doing some of that already, and like we all do. And so as a professional, it's very much how you approach an animal, and like it would be like, say, for a doctor, how they have a very good bedside manner. So they know how to approach that patient. They know how to get the information that they need. They know how to support them. And as a professional and talking with animals, that's where that would be the biggest difference. It's like, well, it's next level, and it's a continual development as well. It's not like you get there and, I'm still always studying or doing different things to stay at that level. And my daily practices of what I do every day and the life that I live. So I always have lived a very like clean life, I guess, in a sense. And overall take care of myself. Like I'm very much into health and being physical. But then being a professional, there's a responsibility that I would say also set apart from a great animal communicator, and to look for someone that can actually that speak, or their actions kind of align with their words, right? So they actually live what they kind of teach. And or when I say teach, because I do teach in my sessions, it's like and helping the owners. So it's really about what you live, and keeping your energy at a good level so that you're able to be there to work with the clients. Yeah. And in a good place. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Does that explain it well enough?
I know. I look like I'm sorting through what you're saying.
No,
so.
I love it. I love talking and explaining it, and like I try to give it examples as like, where it's like when you're learning something, it's like getting, when you're at basic, I guess it's like kindergarten. Yeah, you can have those skills, but then when you get to year 12, it's like, right, because I've done that layer and understand that concept and that, and I've done that. And so it's really just understanding all layers, and for yourself personally, because there is a lot of self-development, and people may not always realize that behind being an animal communicator, like it is a lot of self-development, because you really need to go deep within yourself, and then you're able to then provide that service for your clients. Which is fun. Like, and it, it's very fun what I do as well as being emotional. Like it's so rewarding. And I just really live. So I live for being able to. I live to be an animal communicator. That's how I feel. Like I do work with humans. Like I do psychic mediumship work with humans as well, I was going to say. So I am trained to do that as well. So it's kind of like that process, isn't it? Even if you're, people may not have studied with someone else, but they've done a lot of inner work. Usually there's a lot of a process to get to that level where you can actually do it with a client. So it's kind of the same thing with an animal communicator. and then you've you're just working with and understanding the animals as and respecting them and having that high regard for them.
That's respect. That's an important platform to have, isn't
Yeah.
it? We're going to have the respect.
Yeah.
Would you say if someone wanted to develop their personal connection with animals to something more professional, is there like a teacher that you could not necessarily recommend, but are there teachers that you can go and study with?
Yes,
There are.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know, like, I've studied I've studied with many different teachers in many
Right.
different areas, not only animal communication, and I feel that's
Yeah,
all
right.
helped me get to be the
Yep.
level that I'm at. But
Yep.
I have a diploma in animal communication and healing,
Oh, wow.
and so I've completed that, and
So there's formal qualifications.
yeah, I definitely,
Wow.
I have all my certificates, so I'm really very proud of that. Definitely,
Wow.
there is. It definitely is, and so that would be the different. And that doesn't mean everybody, because some people may have done a lot of work on within themselves. I know for me, I have done that, but I do have the professional, and that's why I think I'm great at what I do, because I have both. I have the professional training, and then I have that my own experiences as well, and combining them together is like
A double
is
whammy.
really
Powerful.
right. It's pretty powerful, and I just embrace that I'm able to develop those abilities to get to that level.
Beautiful. We've got Judy's back, and she wants you to talk about the beluga whale in captivity.
Okay.
Can you
There
do that?
was actually it was actually told me, and it was actually a dugong. Are they different to a blue? I think it is, but actually it's very good because I've told this story. And it's very important, actually very impactful. She was in captivity and she could not be released, and so often we don't talk about.
Where was
She was
she?
actually in the Sydney Aquarium at Darling Harbour. I don't even know if that's even open anymore, or if she's even there, because this was quite a while ago. But we always look at, and I'm the same, I don't support breeding animals in captivity or having them for entertainment, like not, in aquariums where we've got huge whales, and I just don't agree with that. And that's a whole nother subject where people but I think we're much more educated today, right? And we maybe have done things like that in the past, but there is a place for them when they cannot be released in captivity, and the choice would be they're either going to be in captivity or they won't be alive. And her life purpose was, because often animals do tell me their life purpose, or what their life purpose is, or what their owners is. Sometimes that comes in with a passed over animal more, those sessions, and it depends where, even past lives with animals with their owners. I mean, it depends where the session leads, and I guess what the client's beliefs are, because I always take that into consideration. But so I know for me, with the communication with that, or with talking with that dugong was so important, because I then have a responsibility to educate people also that sometimes, because if we don't visit animals like that in captivity, they will not be able to be there and they won't have a life. So it's finding that balance of when should we have animals in captivity and when shouldn't we?
Because dugongs are endangered, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know a lot about the research of it, because it was more like I just had to talk to her. And that's what she
how did
told
you
me.
come to have a conversation with her? If you
It
don't...
was in some of my training, actually. Yeah, and I met someone. So that had was working with her. Yeah, so amazing. Yeah.
So she was in captivity, and what did she say her purpose was? Her life purpose.
Her purpose was to educate people on how important she was, like how important like marine life is, and how important she was, and she was like, as an example, to save the ones in the wild, like, so for people to, because we don't respect really our oceans, we don't respect our waterways and what's in there enough. And we know things are changing, but you know, I would love to be able to do more work in that area, and that's a whole nother area of work. You know, there's so much to do, but if I can just teach my little bit about, respecting animals in the ocean on all levels, and that was what her life purpose was, teaching people that. And so she had sort of sacrificed herself in a sense, but that's what the message she wanted.
So in essence, she sacrificed her freedom to be in captivity so that we could learn about her species and
right.
And where she was in the ocean. Wow.
Yes, and she could not be released back. Like, she couldn't, because I can't even remember what the reason was, but there was no way she could go back in. But on a soul, because obviously animals have souls, and I believe that we all have our mission when we choose it before we come. And so that was her part of her soul mission. Wow. Because many animals are very advanced souls. But anyway, that's probably very
It's not a new concept here. You're quite free to talk about that. But I guess too, in a species sort of way, are they kind of, my head's going faster than my mouth.
That's what I often do, so it's good.
It's like the connection's catching up. Like if the whales that she lives with have already moved on up the coast, if she's released at a time when they're not around, she may not find them again, and that could be just as dangerous, I suppose, as whatever physical reason she couldn't be released into the wild again.
Yeah, and, that's right.
There's so much.
Yeah, there's so many reasons. So sometimes that's why we need that's why we need more sanctuaries and things like that for animals. Yeah. Not having them as entertainment, but having them because, if they're not, then we have responsibility as humans to then give them the best life they can have. And if that's not in the wild, then a great life in in captivity where they're safe. But respected. Again, it's always about
what they need. There are lots of animal sanctuaries around, actually, and I do support a couple. Probably one that you'd know would be Billie Dean's sanctuary down in Braidwood, and she does a lot of teaching. She's written books and done a lot of teaching around how to connect and communicate with animals. And I suppose the fires were very much affected her sanctuary there. Last year before.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do remember seeing, because I also follow her as well, and seeing a lot of information, and it's so distressing. So I also try to I do donate time to even rescue groups, and I'll donate healings and things like that. Not really for the more still domestic animals that I do that for now, but I really believe that if we're able to help everyone, if everyone can do a little bit, it all adds up. Yeah, because not everyone always does respect animals as they should be. Luckily we do, and or my clients and everyone but there is a so it's great that they have people like us and we're able to do that.
And I think there's a where pigs fly sanctuary, which I think is around Pecolbin Cessnock area, which is up here at the lake, or just west of the lake, in the Hunter Valley. And another one run by another friend, Virginia. She's more further north coast from me, just beyond Newcastle. I think she's actually just been able to purchase a property, so that they've actually got their own property now to have their sanctuary. They were on rented property before. So that was really exciting to see that, her sanctuary has got some stability now. And another friend, Kai and Gill, further up on the border of Queensland, they're looking for their own property to move on to, and they did a lot of travelling with camels and their menagerie to find sanctuary as well. So there are, and that's just four people I know of who are working really hard with animals, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I know there are people looking out for and rescuing and rehoming, and there's a massive network, and it's
and sometimes people can't maybe have it's like me, I don't have the facility for that, but then I will help people that do rescue animals. I'll be like, okay, I can't take care of the rescue animals, but I will offer healings or certain things like that. So it's like you're giving back to the animals where you can, and it is important to be able to do that.
Sherry makes a really good comment about this is the reason why they don't have them with the circus, and that's a big improvement, I guess, in our kind of a relationship with animals, that by and large we're not using them for entertainment. It's not legal to do that, or if people want to be in the circus, well, they can choose to be, but animals can't and they shouldn't be.
That's right. And I know it can be quite controversial, like it is, right? It's like but when we're not, we really need to
we don't have bearded ladies and short men at the circus either. Or do we? I don't know. I haven't been to the circus.
I haven't either, and that's what I mean. It's like I haven't either. Like, but there's so much more education around animals now, and we do have so much more understanding, which is why even being able to communicate with them or understand them and connect with them is like so wonderful. It's like you bridge that gap, kind of.
And this was another comment too. Because we were talking about rehoming, and Sherry lives in the Hunter Valley, which, as you probably know, is primary industry is racing and horsing of various typing. Horsing. This is what live TV does. Words on the fly.
I like that. I do that too. So it's good.
But that's and actually in the Hunter Valley, it's quite a tense relationship between mining and the horse industry there, because both of them are really important to the area, but they really one undermines the other, and literally.
Very interesting, because I wasn't really aware of that. Obviously I know the mining, but not really knowing with the racing industry, and that's a whole nother.
Racing and breeding, it's a very big area. Hunter Valley, a very big area for the horse industry, and agricultural in general. It's a very fertile area, and so there's quite a tension between what's under the ground and what's above the ground. And then, of course, the way we still use animals for either entertainment or making money or domestic use. It's that relationship is still, those relationships are all still being examined and reimagined, I suppose, and that's where how do we look after animals that we've used to the end of their life, and what do we do with them afterwards when they're no longer So I mean, they're all things that we're all examining, I guess, as humans and as a society as well.
Yeah, which is really good. I think that we do, rather than just be like accepting stuff and having an open mind about if there's a better way of doing it. Because, it's like animals. It's like what I do, right? I give animals a voice. So it's about, respecting what the animal would like and would want. And some animals like, they like having a job, or animals do like having a job. So depending on what that is, it's like, well, if that's what they're trained to do, but it depends on how they're treated. I think the main thing is it's like how they're treated in that. That's the main thing, like giving them the right space, giving them what they need. And respecting that, not just making assumptions. Yeah, they're happy with that, but maybe they're not. So
we've got so far to go.
We do, but I'm always hopeful. Like I'm always, and I think with people that are of the light, or people that want to, like us today joining together, and it's like people like that, we change that and educate people and maybe make other people think about it in a different light.
Sherry's got another really good question. Have you had any animals that didn't want healing?
Never. I've never had an animal that doesn't know. And I mean, I know myself on how good it feels. So animals are usually very accepting and like it much, because they're more open to it, and they'll just accept it even more than a human. So that's why the healings, I don't know, from my experience, like work so well, because the animal will just be like, accept it. They don't question it. Oh, is it going to work or whatever? They just accept it. And that's why they always accept it and it changes their lives.
So they're not
owners.
attached to their pain and suffering.
No, I mean, yeah, and in that sense, you may have to work longer with an animal. There may be a longer time frame depending, but it's not like they'd say, I don't want the healing. It just may be a process where it's like, okay, it may take a bit longer. So we need to do more sessions, or we need to go back in and check on that or talk to them. But I've never had an animal say, I don't want healing. Yeah, it's like, oh, they love it. They look forward to it. I do regular healings for many animals, like even weekly or fortnightly, wherever, it fits, and they like wait for me. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like, I can't wait. Yeah, it's like, I'm so excited. And they always feel so much calmer. Like, that's always, no matter what they've been through. And if there's a major thing, obviously it wouldn't be the same depth, but the comments I always get the feedback of the owner, they were so much more relaxed. Now, we know even your body heals much better even when it's relaxed. So like on that level, it's like, well, it allows the body to heal on all levels if we're relaxing it more. So I think, well, that's a great bonus as well.
Well, our bodies are amazing in its ability to self-heal, but I guess being unrelaxed or being tense and scared and worried gets in the way of that.
That's right.
And Sherry was commenting that about healings being quick, like when you heal with children. So I suppose children don't necessarily say, no, I don't want to be, or they're scared about, they could be, who knows, I'm making assumptions.
Yeah, it depends.
The connection there is that children are kind of wonderful in that they've still got that childlike wonder, they're not weighed down by the pressures of life and things going crap.
Yeah, and animals are very much like, we really can say that they're very much like 5 or 6 year old children. Some are very wise, but then you've got some that, and that's why even when I go in with and I talk to them, I ask them questions, and it's like, it's really can be like talking to a 5 or 6 year old, because that's how they see life, which is great in a lot of ways. And then you can, like I said, you can have some really wise old souls. Obviously talking to passed over animals is like slightly different in that sense, because you're talking to them on the soul level, but you still, they all have their own unique personality. So and they very much embrace the healing side of it. That doesn't mean if they have really hard trauma that it obviously might take longer, but they're definitely very receptive of it. And yes, I totally believe we can all heal ourselves. But as we know, sometimes it's just like we have blockages, and so having someone else channel that, because obviously I don't, the healing comes from the universe. I'm just the channel. So so I'm just like bringing the healing that obviously they can connect to themselves, but we just don't always realize that as being here in our human selves or our animal selves. They are souls, but they're in that body, and so we just help reconnect that and remind them, because some animals have suffered a lot of trauma, and it really affects them.
Well, I think we've come to the end. Oh yes, no worries, Natalie. I think we've come to the end. That's a really nice kind of ending place, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
I'm going to leave this video here, but I'm also going to download it and just tidy up the beginning and the end and put it up on my YouTube channel as well for forever afterwards. So it's easily found, which means you can share it wherever you want it to as well, Kelly.
Okay, great. Sounds wonderful.
And
thank you.
I've really enjoyed. I didn't know what to expect today, so it's been a real pleasure and a joy to have you have a chat with us. And thank you to all your friends who've come along and prompted you with good case studies to talk about.
Yeah, right. I do. I thank them all very much. I absolutely love my clients and animal and people, and I'm very blessed to have them. So thank you guys always for supporting me too.
So where can people find you if they want to be in contact with you?
So I am on Facebook and Instagram. So I do a lot of stuff on social media, but I have my website. So that's did you want me to tell you what that even
May
was?
as well.
Or just
I'll put it in the notes anyway.
So kellysanimalcommunication.com.au. That's my website. And everything, all the services that I offer are on my website. But if anyone's not sure what to book, because sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming, because, you know, it's like, what do I choose? Yeah, or if some people just want to have a brief telephone, like just to talk to me. Some people, I mean, great, they've seen me today, but some people are like, I really want to talk. So, you know, a 5-minute call, just to let them get a feel for me. I'm fine if people want that. But a lot of people just go in, everything's there on my website, just go in, choose what they want and book it. And that's the best way to find me and book a session with me.
Cool. Oh, beautiful. So we've got a couple of last comments. And I think we can answer this really easily, is that Sherry asked, do you heal both the client that have lost animals or just the animals?
So with passed over animals?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Usually I will do here. I mean, because I'm trained to do, because I actually have studied to do the animal healing and, you know, and the people. So with that, it's passed over animals are generally more really supporting the client, the human, than the animal in a sense. So definitely all that is looked at, and I really sort of counsel that person even before doing a session. And if my you know, I have other professionals that I'm able to also refer to if I feel that, even if I do a session, that it's like they may need more help, or they may need it on a deeper level. I always have a network of other people that I'm able to refer to as well. But yeah, there's definitely healing for the client with a passed over animal, because it's more about them in that sense.
Yes. Yeah. And it's the same when you're doing people passing as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And Jackie says, thank you, fabulous chat. Love your work, Kelly, and I'll be in touch for more readings for Wattle and Xena in the very near future.
Thank you, Jackie.
So there
thank
you go.
You. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Joe. It was lovely. And thank you,
You're
Sherry.
welcome.
You've been asking some lovely questions. It's great to interact and be able to explain and just, what I do. So I hope that gives you a better understanding of what I do and people. And I could talk about it all day.
I know, but we did promise that I would let you stop at an hour, so let's do that.
Yeah, and that's right, and it's an hour. Yeah, so that's why I like that you stop me, because otherwise it'd be like, oh, keep talking. So yeah, I'm cool with that. Got plenty of work to get to now.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Kelly. Thank you to everyone who has come along and watched, and also those who are going to watch it on the replay. Feel free to pop through any questions, and I invite you, Kelly, at a time that's convenient to you, maybe in a day or so, to pop and just sort of maybe respond to a couple of the questions if they come in later. No pressure, right away.
Just on the post in the on your
just
page.
On the post in the Facebook page.
Sounds wonderful.
And then that way, you know, there might be some questions that are a bit outstanding, so that's cool. But
I was going to say one more thing, if I can.
Go.
In August, I'm offering 10% off any new client session. So if
that's a bit exciting.
So I have put on my page, but they just need to use the code SAVE10, and that's on any session for August. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you.
I hope that's okay. I've added that in because it's pretty exciting. People want to take the opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
And if it doesn't work, just let me know. So thank you, Joe. Thank you for today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. See you later. See you, everyone. Bye.